This is Jeep Talk with Damon Viola.
Welcome to Jeep Talk. I have a couple of tips for you, but before we get into that, I wanted to show you something I received in the mail from a good friend of mine. His name is Mario Maipid, and this is what he sent me. It's a Ford-branded t-shirt, and it has a design on the front and the back, and this is his own creation. And he sent this to me as a thank you for something I did for him, and I just want to say, Mario, thank you so much. I really appreciate this, and I guarantee you I will put it to good use. So we'll just put this away for the moment, and we'll get on with those tips. Tip number 1. Stripping old paint can be a pain if you do it yourself, and paying to have someone else do it can be an impact on your wallet. If you're on a budget like me, you're always looking for ways to cut costs. I picked up a cheap siphon-fed sandblaster from a garage sale for next to nothing. If you have enough air, it will work pretty well, but doing a large piece like a body tub can take a long time. So one way to cut down on the time is to use a 120 grit flap grinding disc on the flat surfaces. This will remove the paint pretty quick and is fine enough not to cut too deep into the steel. But you should stay away from the edges as it can take off too much metal there. Then, when you hit it with the blaster, it will remove what's left in a fraction of the time. Fortunately, my tub only had 2 coats of Army Applied OD and no post-war repaint, so I didn't have it as bad as it could be. A side benefit of using a smaller media blaster is that you won't have to worry about metal warpage that can happen with a more powerful system. And finally, make sure to wear the proper eye and ear protection, and especially when using silica sand, a suitable face mask so you don't breathe the dust. Tip number 2. Your Jeep has lots of bolts to hold it together, as you learn when you take it apart. If you're doing a Ford Jeep, the holy grail is the F-script bolts, and Willys can have bolts marked with EC, for example. While repro bolts are available, if you're a purist, you'll be on the hunt for the original ones, and they can cost you a few bucks. If you're not a purist, then you can use modern bolts, and they come in different grades. Heads with no markings are typically grade 2 and are not suitable for automotive use. You want either grade 5 or grade 8 bolts. Grade 5 can be identified by 3 tick marks on the head. Grade 8 has 6 marks. These marks were not used on World War II hardware, so if you don't want having those show, you can remove them. If you happen to have a lathe, it's pretty easy to machine them off, but since most of us don't, we have to try something else. File will work, but it takes time and elbow grease. Again, a 120 grit flap disc is the way to go. Problem is, it's hard to grind the head square. What you can do is chuck the bolt in a power drill clamped to your workbench, or better yet, a drill press. While it's spinning lightly, grind away the tick marks. Doesn't take much to do it. You can also use a grinder to put a small chamfer on the edge to make it look more finished. There you have it. A smooth top bolt that is square and chamfered. Not as good as an F or EC bolt, but doesn't look like you use modern hardware. For Jeep Talk, I'm Damon Viola. Thanks for watching.